Yo, what is going on, guys? And welcome back to 365 Analytics. And folks, it is that time of year again. It's playoff time in the National Football League, and we are here to predict the entire playoff bracket. Specifically, going to focus on Wild Card Weekend the most because that's what we have coming up this weekend with all six matchups, and we're going to go over all of them in depth, and then we're going to predict the entire bracket. Before I go to the bracket, I just want to say I finished the season with a record of 173 and 99, as you can see right here. Not good enough. We want to be better next season. And week 18, I went 10 and 6 to finish off the year. But we didn't hit the 100 loss mark, which is a good thing. Could have been worse, but my standards are higher than that and hope to be better than that next season. And we finished 13 and 5 on the locks while we finished 13 or 5 and 13 on the upsets. So without further ado, let's get to the bracket and predict some games. And here we are with the 2024 to 2025 NFL season playoff bracket. And the regular season wasn't perfect. We're going to try to be better in the playoffs and we're going to try to nail this bracket. But we're obviously not going to do that, but we're going to try it and we're going to try our best to do that. So, yeah, let's get right into it. First of all, on Saturday at 4:30 EST. To kick off the playoffs, we have the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to NRG Stadium to take on the Houston Texans. The Chargers, they're coming off a Week 18 win versus Las Vegas, where they acquired the number 5 seed in the AFC and punched their ticket to NRG Stadium to travel to Houston for this game. Houston, they're coming off a win as well versus the Tennessee Titans, where the starters played about a drive or two and then rested the rest of the game, and they were ready to go for playoff time. This is one of the tougher games of the first round. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not a big believer in either of these teams. Coming into the year, I was not a believer in either of these teams. I said the Texans were going to have a down year, and I said CJ Stroud was going to have a sophomore slump. I consider myself right about that. However, I was pretty wrong about the Chargers. I think I predicted them 6 and 11 or 7 and 10, and obviously that was inaccurate. Jim Harbaugh has these guys absolutely rolling, and in a 5 seed, Justin Herbert having an amazing year, very efficient year, not many interceptions. And this one was tough for me because Houston at home, we've seen CJ Stroud win a playoff game before. Justin Herbert has never won a playoff game. Houston has a lot of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, they have an elite pass rush with Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. But the common sense in me says to take the better head coach, the more experienced head coach in a position like this. And I'm going to take the better quarterback here. And I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers to advance to the next round and beat the Houston Texans in a pretty close game. I think it'll be close contested, but I'm going to stick with the Chargers. Coming up next, it is Saturday night on Prime Video. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. We have an old-fashioned rivalry in the playoffs, folks. It's Steelers versus Ravens yet again. Where else would you rather be? These two teams always play close. It's always scrappy. Tomlin versus Lamar. And do not think that the Ravens are going to blow this team out. Obviously, we saw this matchup in Baltimore a few weeks ago, the weekend before Christmas. Baltimore, they had their way with them. They played well. The first matchup in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers won a grinded out game, your usual Pittsburgh Steelers versus Baltimore Ravens game. This one's going to be close, I think. And obviously, everyone sees they've lost 4 straight coming into the bracket. Baltimore, they've won, I think, 4 or 5 straight now. One team's coming in hot, one team's coming in cold. And that's going to draw everyone to pick the home team, obviously. The Baltimore Ravens have my MVP at quarterback. If I had an MVP vote, it would go to him with the way he's playing. They finished the year 12 and 5. In Pittsburgh, they are really reeling. But I like Mike Tomlin a lot. I do. I like Mike Tomlin a lot, and this is probably the pick I'm going to get slammed for. But I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers storm into Baltimore and win the game. These two teams always play close. It's always a scrappy game. AFC North rivalry. Both these teams could win, and this will be close. Do not sweat it. I'm going to take the Steelers. I hate both these teams, so I wish they could both lose. But I'm going to take the Steelers to get it done in the upset of the wild card round. And I'm going to take both teams to win on Saturday. Both away teams. Both away teams to win on Saturday. And then coming up next, we go to the 3-game Sunday slate. It is the Buffalo Bills at the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. Man, I wish it was the Bengals in this position. We're in wild card weekend, so I'm not going to talk about it. Let's talk more about the Broncos. But man, the Chiefs really folded up and died against the Broncos and kind of broke my heart. But Denver deserves to be here. They had a hell of a season. Bo Nix was absolutely elite. So yeah, let's talk about the Broncos. They're coming off 38-0 smackdown against the Kansas City Chiefs. They punched their ticket to the playoffs. Sean Payton has these guys rolling. Bo Nix is playing good football. Marvin Mims is balling out. I like the way they use Marvin Mims since Bo Nix has got there. I mean, they have Devon Vele. They have Cortland Sutton. They have a nice trio of running backs with Estime, Williams, and McLaughlin that they use. They have a nice offense. Vance Joseph has the defense rolling. Patrick Surtain, the decoy candidate. I mean, they got players all around. Nick Benito's a beast. Jonathan Cooper's good. But they're going to Orchard Park to play a top 2 MVP candidate. Wouldn't get my vote, but he's absolutely amazing. The 2 seed versus the 7 seed. I'm not picking against Josh Allen at home in a playoff game like this. So they're going to go to the next round. Josh Allen looks to be on a mission this year, and they aren't losing to a number 7 seed. Great season in Denver Broncos. They aren't going anywhere. They're going to be here for a long time, but give me Buffalo right now. And then we go to the NFC. As you can see, the AFC's filled out. The divisional round games being Chargers, Bills, Steelers, Chiefs. We go to the NFC, where we start off with the 4:30 Sunday game. It is the 2 versus the 7, the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a week 1 Sao Paulo, Brazil rematch where these two played a high scoring game on the first Friday of the NFL season, the second day of the NFL season to be exact. These two played a pretty good game. And I like the Packers coming in as a wild card team. Obviously, they're a pretty good wild card team. The NFC North is absolutely stacked this year. They got swept by Minnesota and Detroit. That is 4 of their 6 losses, I believe. They're coming off a loss to Chicago, where Jordan Love was banged up most of the game. Malik Willis came in, but I think Jordan Love came back in. But Jordan Love's healthy for this game. One thing from an Eagles standpoint, Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol, but I expect him to be cleared. And even then, Kenny Pickett, I have confidence in Kenny Pickett to be able to get a game done with the weapons he has around him. Obviously, we saw the year that Saquon Barkley had. We saw the year that A.J. Brown had. They're all off a 1 week of rest. And at home, 2 versus 7 game, I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles. No questions asked. And I think they get it done now. And then we go to Sunday Night Football. Another week 1 rematch in the NFC playoffs. This is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be an interesting one. Do not sweat it. It is the Washington Commanders at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, we saw what Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels did this season. They went their way to a 12-5 record and absolutely shocked the world with the rookie year that Daniels had, with Dan Quinn being the first year head coach in Washington. Obviously, he coached in Atlanta, but he's a new guy in Washington. Cliff Kingsbury, a head coach candidate, probably going to take some interviews very, very soon here. They're going to Tampa Bay, who clinched the division crown last week at the hands of Baker Mayfield. Very grinded out game. It wasn't easy against New Orleans, but they got it done. And this is prime time at Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield's been here before. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been here before. I don't have a lot of faith in Todd Bowles, to be honest. I have more faith in Dan Quinn than I do Todd Bowles. So I really could see Washington upsetting, but the young quarterback going on the road in a primetime game at the back-to-back division champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to take the home team here, and I'm going to take Tampa Bay to get it done there. And then Monday Night Football, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the call. This is my most intriguing game of Wild Card Weekend. This is the one I am most excited for because I think this is going to be fun. It is the Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams. We have a 14-3 wild card team going into Sean McVay's house. What else could you ask for? It is Kevin O'Connell versus Sean McVay. Obviously, KOC was on the Rams staff for a while. He was the offensive coordinator under Sean McVay. And yeah, they're going to Los Angeles. These two played in Los Angeles earlier in the year on a Thursday night football game where there was the controversial Sam Darnold face mask game. That was pretty early in the year, if y'all remember that. But the Rams came in with the win. Stafford played well, and they did it. But this time we're in the playoffs. The Minnesota Vikings are 14-3. They're coming off a pretty bad loss on Sunday Night Football versus the Lions, where they could have had the one seed, but Dan Campbell went in there and kicked him in the mouth. And Sam Darnold, Aaron Glenn absolutely shut down the Vikings offense in the red zone. Sam Darnold was not good at all. Really, the first big game he's played in his entire career, and he did not respond. He was not very good. Sean McVay's elite. Let's get that straight. Sean McVay's elite. This is at his house on primetime Monday Night Football game where they're coming off 1 week of rest. And there was no Stafford last week, no Cup, no Puka Nakua, no Kyron Williams. It was all backup. So they're basically the starters. Majority of the starters are coming off 1 week of rest. That young defensive line can play. Byron Young, Jared Verse, Kobe Turner. They got good players. And possibly the upset of the first round, I'm going to take the Sean McVay led Rams to absolutely stun the wild card Minnesota Vikings. Listen, I love Kevin O'Connell. I've said it all year. I love Brian Flores. Brian Flores might get a head coaching position again soon. His defense has played well all year long. But McVay at home, when their starters are coming off a week of rest, I'm not picking against him. I'm not picking against him. I love Sean McVay a lot, and he's a great head coach, and I think they advance. And yeah, that's the wild card picks right there. Chargers, Steelers, Bills, Eagles, Bucks, Rams. Boom. And these are your second round matchups. We have some intriguing ones here for sure. 3 or 4 of these rematch. I do not think the Chargers and Bills played during the year. They played last year on Peacock, I think, but yeah. We're going to the divisional round now. So we're going to start off with the AFC side of things. We're going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers at the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, the Chargers, they would be coming off a win versus the Texans in this scenario, and Buffalo would be coming off a win versus Denver. This would be an intriguing matchup. Herbert versus Allen, two good quarterbacks, Harbaugh versus McDermott. But in Orchard Park, it's going to be freezing cold for an LA team. An LA team to travel all across the country to a freezing cold, almost in Canada. Josh Allen, MVP type season, MVP caliber season. I think continues, and I can't see the Chargers going into Buffalo and winning this game. Give me the Buffalo Bills to get it done and go to the AFC Championship game. And then we go to the second AFC divisional round game. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium. Obviously, we saw this matchup a few weeks ago on Christmas Day, to be exact. Kansas City went into Pittsburgh, kicked him in the mouth, basically blew him out for 4 quarters straight. Russell Wilson did not play well, and that was one of the Pittsburgh's bad games over the 4 game losing streak. They did not play well at all. Pittsburgh get coming into this game off a scrappy win against the Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs. They're 2 weeks rested. They didn't play starters against Denver, and they didn't obviously have a game during the wild card round. So they're 2 weeks rested. The more experienced team, the Kansas City Chiefs, no matter how bad they've looked and no matter how it's looked like they've had voodoo magic this year, they're not going one and done. They're not losing a game like this. And Andy Reid, they're not going down with a slight, and they're going to the AFC Championship game to face the Buffalo Bills. So, yet again, it's that matchup again. It's there it is again. Allen versus Mahomes. See how that one gets hyped up this time. In Arrowhead Stadium yet again. But we'll talk about that in a second as we go to the NFC side of things. It's obviously Stafford versus his old team in Detroit yet again. Here we go. Rams playing in Detroit. We saw this matchup twice. It was close twice. It's the Rams and the Lions in Ford Field. Dan Campbell's on 1 week of rest. Matt Stafford and the Rams coming off a win versus Minnesota in this scenario. These two played week 1 on Sunday Night Football in Detroit. Detroit won a very grinded out, scrappy game, close game, just like the wild card game these two played last year. This one will be close no matter how you look at it. This is turning into a pretty mini rivalry. Obviously, Stafford versus Goff. They've used to play for the old teams. And now in this scenario, they've played a few times now, and the Lions are 2-0 versus them. It's Campbell versus McVay. This is coming into a mini rivalry, and this is a pretty intriguing matchup every time these two teams meet now. But Dan Campbell off 1 week of rest. The Detroit Lions are an absolute mission, and I'm not picking against them in their first playoff game. Dan Campbell, he can fire an entire squad up, and I just can't see the Rams, who started 1-4 or 1-3, going into Detroit and winning this game. Detroit is going to host an NFC Championship game at Ford Field, and yeah, it's a great time to be a Lions fan. So I think they get it done. And then we go to the last divisional round matchup. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bucks. They, in the scenario, coming off a win against the Washington Commanders, and now they are traveling into Philadelphia. These two teams played earlier in the year. I believe it was week 4. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think it was in Raymond James Stadium, actually came away with a win. Obviously, these two played in the wild card round last year, too. That's when Philly was reeling a bit, and they weren't playing good football at all. In my playoff picks last year, I picked Philadelphia to go into Tampa Bay and win, and they didn't. They got smacked around. Jason Kelsey's last game, obviously, the wild card round, where Philly was coming in so cold, and they just did not get it done. But it's a new season. Saquon Barkley's having a generational year. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts should be healthy by this time, even if he's not healthy for the wild card round. He should be at a concussion protocol well by that time. And Philly's on a mission. They have, in my opinion, a better team this year than they did even during the Super Bowl run where they played Kansas City, and I'm gonna take them here. I think we see a 1-2 matchup in the title games. Kind of boring, but I think we see a 1-2-1, 2-1 matchup in the AFC and NFC title games to decide the Super Bowl berth for both sides. So yeah, give me the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they get it done, and the legacy season for Saquon Barkley continues after leaving the Giants. And we have reached Championship Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. It is probably the 4 best teams in the National Football League all year long. Really, no surprises here. It is the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. Allen and Mahomes meet again. What more could you want? And then it's Sirianni versus Campbell, Saquon versus Gibbs, the two NFC Titans that we've seen all year long, and for a trip to the Super Bowl on the line in Ford Field. We're going to start off with the AFC side of things. Allen and Mahomes. What matchup are we on now? We're probably on matchup 10 at this point. These two have met a lot. These two teams are familiar with each other. Obviously, they meet almost every single playoff. They meet literally almost every single year. And this year's going to be no different. It's in Kansas City. Last year, the playoff game was in Buffalo. Josh Allen has never beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game. Obviously, at Arrowhead Stadium, this will be the 6:30 game. This will be the late game. It's going to be on prime time. Going to be freezing cold there. Both these teams are used to the cold. It is Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes yet again. These two teams have played historic games in the playoffs. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills being the Kansas City Chiefs' only real loss of the regular season. They went 15-2. They lost to the Broncos backups last week. But their only other loss, Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. This is tough to predict because I think Allen and the Bills are playing the best football in the AFC all year long. But we have the most experience, the more experienced team, and the more clutch team, the more it factor team, the more playoff worthy team, the team that we've seen win 2 straight Super Bowls at home with the voodoo magic on their side all year. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna take them again. If you guys probably know what's coming. If you saw my preseason prediction, you probably know what's coming. But I'm taking them again, and I think they win the American Football Conference for the 3rd year in a row. And they are headed to Super Bowl Sunday yet again. And then we go to the National Football Conference. The 2 versus the 1 again. It is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Detroit Lions. The Eagles, they've played obviously a great year. Saquon Barkley, 2,000-yard rushing season. A.J. Brown, a top 5, potentially top 5 receiver in the National Football League, paired with Devontae Smith, Jeff Stoutland running an elite offensive line, Jalen Hurts playing good football, probably the most unstoppable play in the NFL they have with the tush push. Good defense played around Jalen Carter getting a Pro Bowl nod, Nolan Smith's playing great, Milton Williams. They got players, man. They got players. Zach Bond having a Pro Bowl year coming over from New Orleans, absolutely shocking the world, being one of the best linebackers in the entire football this season. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's still there playing his old team in this scenario. Darius Slay, Quinyon Mitchell's playing amazing ball. Cooper DeJean. But then you have the Detroit Lions. Sonic and Knuckles. An elite offensive line. Jared Goff. You're good enough for Detroit, Jared Goff. A defense that's banged up. but they play with the most grit of anybody in the entire National Football League. Everybody loves Dan Campbell. The story of Dan Campbell is like no other. But I'm going to take the team I believe in more. I'm going to take the team with more talent. I'm going to take the better running back. I'm going to take the better receiving core overall. And I'm going to take the less banged up defense. As I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. And here we go. It is Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. A rematch of Super Bowl 57 at the helm, as it is yet again the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And this was my preseason prediction. If you guys watched my NFL playoff prediction video earlier in the year, in September, early September, this was the matchup I picked. And this was the matchup I'm sticking with. And I think destiny is a thing here. Destiny's a thing here. One side wants to catch Tom Brady for being the greatest quarterback of all time, potentially getting a fourth ring, potentially three-peating, being the first ever team to do it. The New England Patriots went to three straight, they lost the third one. Potentially being the first team to ever three-peat. And if this guy three-peats, conversations are going to be started. The GOAT debate, the LeBron versus Jordan of the NFL, that's immediately going to start. But then you have the Philadelphia Eagles, the storylines around them. These two played 2 years ago. Philadelphia walked off the field in sorrow after losing this game. The first win of the Chiefs three-peat. You have Saquon Barkley coming over from the franchise that the Giants are, having a 2,000-yard season in his first year in Philadelphia. You have A.J. Brown returning to the Super Bowl. You have no Jason Kelsey anymore. Cam Jurgens playing out the way he's playing. You have a young defense, Jalen Carter, all the stars you have in your defense. It's a tough game to pick, man. It's a really tough game to pick. But what do I think is destiny? What do I think that it's meant to be? And this team is on a quest like I've never seen before. I think the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl. And I hate to say it because I don't like the Chiefs at all. I don't. But I think from the start, from the jump, from opening night versus Baltimore, where Isaiah Likely had his toe out of bounds, this was always destiny. This is what I picked in the preseason, and I'm not going away from it. I think the Kansas City Chiefs get it done and win the Super Bowl. So yeah, those are the playoff predictions I have for the 2024 for the 2025 NFL season. And I don't really have much else to say besides I hope the bracket's right, as I don't really hope the Chiefs win. I'd be rooting for the Eagles in this scenario, but I'd probably pick the Chiefs. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please like, subscribe. That'll be greatly appreciated. And this will probably be going up tonight. It's Tuesday right now. This will be going up a little later tonight. But yeah, look out for the final NFL Power Rankings. I'm gonna do a video on that a little later this week, probably tomorrow or Thursday. I'm gonna have that video out. Look out for that. But yeah, these are the 2024 to 2025 NFL season playoff predictions. And have a good night.